listen to the instructors. If they're telling you to, you don't have to do exactly what they're saying with the numbers. Like if they're telling you do the numbers you need, listen to them. You know, if Tunde's telling you can drop a weight and you need to do it, you know, you're challenging yourself, right? No one's here, no one's watching me. So your accountability is yourself. So you do what you have to do for you. There, like I said, there's nobody watching. And if you will build up to those 2 arms, 2 weights in 1 arm, you'll get there. But in the beginning, if you can't do it, it's okay. And just clip in, like, even if it's 5 minutes, just get on the bike. I've never regretted clipping in. I've regretted not clipping in. But once you get on that bike, like something inside of you just feel so much better after you get off of it. So you'll never regret clipping in.
It's more than just your output, more than a bike. When you hear your shout out, you know it's all right. Put on your magic pants and let's go. We're cruising into the power zone. Clip in, set yourself free. Come on and take a ride with me. Know what you need to know and what's it all about. Everything you need, it's on the Clip Out.
Welcome to the Clip Out Podcast, episode 235. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
And this is Tom O'Keefe. Happy day after Thanksgiving if you listen to these the day they come out.
Yeah, hello.
Hello. So one last final plug. We're going to be in Boston this week. So if you live in the Boston area and you want to hang out with us, we will be at Fogo de Chao. I think that's how you say that.
We don't know.
We don't know. We don't have one here, so we don't know.
Remember how long it took us to say Peloton correctly?
I know, right? So lay off.
We're consistent.
We'll be there on Saturday, the 27th at 6 p.m. If you want to come hang out. There will be other listeners there as well, at least so they tell us. And so we'd love to see you. We would love to see you. I also found out when I was talking to the Fogo de Chao place that it's Copley.
Copley Plaza?
Not Copley.
Oh, okay.
So I said, she asked where I was staying, and I mentioned Copley, and she's like, no. Oh, I said Copley, and she's like, if you want to sound like a local, it's Copley. And I said, I want to wicked sound like a local.
We're off to a good start.
Yes.
And I just have to say, this is the first episode that I have been able to record working from home. Ooh. It's amazing.
It's very exciting.
It is very exciting.
Yes.
I'm not over it yet. I'll probably be talking about it for a while.
Yes, clearly. So I guess what, pray tell, do you have in store for people this week?
So much. HighFive debacle. There's going to be talk of the stock
not
market.
All of us are good at it. Like, I just don't have the hand-eye coordination.
Right. Well, you're not on there, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant actual high fives.
Yeah, no.
I'm not.
Also, we have a visit from Dr. Jenn, and she answers a question about how to really push yourself. Then we have tons of in the news for the instructors. We have a visit from Angelo, the top 5 protein snacks after working out. And then in the news from Peloton, not to mention more stock news and competitor news, in case you missed it, information, artist collaborations, and birthdays. We're all over the place.
You know, they had the Foo Fighters last week for their artist collaboration, and it's not often that you could do like the Foo Fighters and then the next week do somebody bigger.
That's true. That's true. They really like to do this for the holidays because last year they did this for the holidays too.
Totally. So before we get to all that, shameless plugs, don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find a podcast, you can find us. While you're there, be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. And if you would be so kind as to leave us a review, that's super helpful.
Yes, please.
Only cost you a little bit of your time, and it just kind of lets people that come along behind you know that we're worth checking out. Our review this week is from Katie Go 12.
Katie Go.
Yes. Oh. And it says, Peloton is my complete life for the last 4 years. Found this podcast during the COVID shutdown, and more recently find myself finishing the week's show and looking for more. Crystal and Tom are amazing hosts and love getting all the updates and continuing to learn more about my fitness journey. Leaderboard name, Katie Go 12. So thank you very much, Katie.
Yes, thank you. What a nice review. Yeah. Also, go Katie, go.
So you can also find us on Facebook if you want to keep up on things throughout the week in between episodes. Go to facebook.com/theclipout. While you're there, like the page, join the group, and you can sign up for our newsletter at theclipout.com, where you'll have all of the links and things like that sent directly to your inbox in a weekly digest format. And finally, if listening to us isn't enough and you would like to stare at us while we say these things, you can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/theclipout. So,
can I tell them one more thing?
I suppose.
I just want to let everybody know that we're recording a day early. So we're recording on Tuesday. So if we miss a big story, that's why.
Right. If tomorrow Peloton is acquired by Echelon, you'll have to wait a week.
Bite your tongue.
You'll have to wait a week to hear about it.
Yeah.
So you've been warned. Oh, wait, that's my other podcast.
Yeah, wrong one. Wrong one, Tom.
That's the Tracy Ullman Show to our Simpsons. So there's all that. Let's dig in, shall we?
We shall.
Run, lift, and live with John Mills.
So joining us via the magic of ZoomTube, it's John Mills. Hey, John, how's it going?
How's it going? It's happening.
I know what you mean. It's a holiday week. There's a little extra time off. Hopefully.
That's right.
Yeah, a little relaxing. So let's see. What are we digging into here today, Tom?
So I guess let's start with the HighFive article. So this came out after we recorded last week. So it was all about, can the HighFive creeps of Peloton be stopped? And so Crystal is featured in this article.
I am.
But it's not a Crystal only problem.
No. Lots of people have issues with this. And I just want to say a couple of caveats right off the top so people don't fast forward through this, because I know it ticked a lot of people off.
Yeah.
One, this is not only harassing women. I know that men have mentioned that they get harassed too. It just happened to be the angle that the person wrote the article on.
Yeah.
And we recognize that. And two, sending a HighFive to, even if you send it to every single person on the ride, is not
that's
what
not
this
harassment.
is about.
That's not what this article.
Right.
Or even if you send somebody 2 HighFives, like
Yeah.
that's not what this is about. There are people out there that are sending like repeated nonstop HighFives to people, and then there are some people that then follow that rider from ride to ride to continue giving them an inordinate number of HighFives.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
the HighFives is a rough thing. I mean, I was on a 20-minute ride the other day, and one individual gave me 21 HighFives during that 20-minute ride.
No.
I mean,
that's too many.
Yeah.
That's too many.
That's too many.
Like, I am all about, like, John, if I see you on a ride, I am for sure going to HighFive you. I might even HighFive you at the beginning, mid, and at the end, you know? But I am not going to HighFive you 21 times. In fact, I don't even think I'm riding hard enough. If I have enough energy to HighFive you 21 times in 20 minutes, that's not a good ride.
I have this OCD thing where I'm like, I see that little red dot, I see the HighFive, and I'm like, and I'm just like, so I end up like hitting it, even if I'm in like a push or I'm on a climb.
Because it drives you crazy. Like, it's right in the corner of your eye, and it's just like red dot, red dot, red dot. Yeah, it drives me nuts. Like they need to just, I don't know. Here is my issue. I have several issues with it, but I think that Peloton just needs to have a blocking button so that you can just block people that irritate you for whatever reason. It's. I don't think that this should affect people that want a HighFive. Like, if you want a HighFive, if I want a HighFive, whatever, we should be able to do that. But like, if I'm irritating somebody, they should be able to block me and not see my HighFives because it ruins the vibe. When you see somebody you can't stand and you have blocked them from every social media site, and then they're in your face high-fiving you 20 times in 20 minutes. That's ridiculous. That's ruining a vibe. I mean, so I really think that they need to come up with that. And I don't think that it matters to most people. If it's not like most of us are going to have that many people block us, and you don't even need to know about it. It's just on their end. Why can't they just do that?
And if they don't want to go that far, there are a lot of things they can do. They could limit the number of times you can HighFive a person. Maybe it caps at 5, or maybe there's a point at which it just stops and said, like on Facebook, if you send too many Facebook Facebook messages in a short period of time, it says take a breath, and it won't let you send anymore for a little bit. Like maybe it does that where it's like, oh, if you sent 35 high fives in 40 seconds, then it's just like, and let's take a pause. Right.
Yeah. And there are people that do that. And also, I just don't think that it should be something that Peloton cares about. Like, I know that they want us to send high fives because it's engagement. I like the engagement from people, but a little goes a long way. And I know that you can just hide it, but you can't really hide it. To your point, that stupid red dot is just right there. And it drives me crazy. It drives me crazy. Yeah. And I should be able to.
This is just.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I see this as just another form of social platform now.
It is.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there's over 5 million people that could at some time or another be on that leaderboard. And that's the mechanism for interaction now. In any other social platform, you can block people.
Yeah, and people have said to me.
But on this one, you can't.
People have said, oh, well, you could just go private, but going private doesn't do anything. People can still find you. And if you have a certain, like every Sunday for the last 4 years, I've ridden with Jenn Sherman in the morning, maybe longer than that. Right. And like this person that bugs me, like they've just ruined my Sunday morning rides to the point where I don't ride that often on Sundays anymore. Right. My point being that she used to have back-to-back rides. They would follow me into the next ride. So even if I blocked them, they can still, I mean, even if I hid them, they could still see me. And if I go private, then all I'm doing is hurting myself because I like to interact with the public. And so the huge community that we have, I like to interact with them. So now 1 or 2 people have ruined it for me because I can't just be open and have high fives from everybody. Yeah. And I don't like that. I just think that that's dumb and it's unnecessary. Like, what is the deal? Why won't Peloton just do it? I don't get what they're getting out of it.
That throws me a little bit. It makes me feel like there's some other kind of business benefit. Like you said, maybe it's about engagement. I don't know what it is, but I agree with you. It feels like there's something else on the other side of this that they see as a benefit, which is why you would think they would just be a no-brainer to give you, like the user, an ability to have more control over that. But it's odd that they don't. It's funny though, also, that I know that some people are not out here intentionally trying to harass
Absolutely.
someone. I know they're out here and they're just like huge, like Peloton fanatics, and they just see this as just constant love to all these people that are like them and just loving this platform. I know there are people, and that's just how their mind sees it. But it just, for me, I'm truly there trying to grind out that climb and like getting 5 high fives in the middle of a 3-minute effort. That's like a lot to try to manage to, but I get like a lot of those folks, it's just love, but
it is.
Then there are others that it ain't.
Yeah.
And that's
you had someone go as far as to find your home address. Our home address.
Yes, our home address.
That's a different thing.
It is a different thing, but it shows that it's targeted, right? It's not about the love, like you said. For me and this particular person, it's not about the love. It is a form of harassment. And whenever I told Peloton that, they were like, "You're the problem," instead of actually doing anything about it. So now this person has my address, and having my address is not Peloton's fault. I'm not saying that, but my point is that it's not just about sending high fives. It's a much bigger issue. And I'm a nobody in the world. What about actual celebrities on this platform? I mean, Peloton acts like it's no big deal, but at some point there is going to be a celebrity that has an issue with this. They're going to get found out. They're going to not want to be found out, and they're going to have these creeps doing this to them, and it's going to become a problem. So why don't you think ahead? Why does it have to turn into this big issue before you do something, Peloton? Come
Well, you know what's funny?
What's
funny about this is I was on one of my Saturday evening clubhouses a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this topic, and then someone said, we brought up a ride, and someone was like, "Well, I didn't see Erica on that ride." And I was like, "Oh, she was on it. She was under her ghost account." Then I was like, "Ooh, I guess I shouldn't have said that." We kind of have like ghost accounts, right? And so then they're like, "Well, I have a ghost account too. And the next person went, me too, and me too. I was like, I didn't know everybody did that. Like there was a time when, a lot of us that have been around a while, you didn't want to separate out your workout history.
You want credit for everything.
You would never do that. You wanted all your credit. But over time, we've come to a place where there's sometimes you don't want all those high fives or you don't want to be noticed. So Erica's created this ghost account. And so on those days when she's under that, so she might be on the ride, but no one knows.
I get
thought
it.
That was a unique thing. It's not. I ended up learning that all these people on my clubhouse, they're all going, I do that too. I do that too.
That's funny.
For that reason alone, I think Peloton should consider some more controls for the
Well, that's interesting. They actually are not incentivized to do that because now it looks like more people are on the platform than are actually on the platform.
Right. Yeah.
Than are actually on the platform.
That is a good point. But I know Crystal always gets mystified because like with tonal for me, I'm like, I didn't even wasn't even logging in under my actual name for a year and a half.
Yeah, and I'm like, that drives me nuts.
And I'm just like, I don't care. Like I'm actually doing it. I don't need the machine to tell me I did it. I can tell by like how much pain I'm in.
I get why people would though. Like that makes sense. But like, I don't want to have to do that.
Totally. Yeah. And I guess we should.
In the early days, that would have been like, I'm not doing that. I don't get credit. Now
Unthinkable.
I'm like, I don't care if it's under multiple accounts. Who cares?
Yeah. But I should say we should, close out by saying we're not anti HighFive.
Not at all.
Like we just think that there should be a mechanism in place that like you had a little bit more control over how many are flooding in. I mean, we ultimately like think the HighFive does more good than harm.
Absolutely.
And let's not forget the HighFive was announced on our show.
We
were on stage with John Foley when he announced it.
Right.
I will also point out that my immediate suggestion was to create a middle finger.
And if we had that middle finger button.
If we had that middle finger button, that could maybe solve all this. So maybe you don't need to put in any of these things in place, blocking people or limiting how many HighFive. Just give us control of the middle finger. And if somebody's into HighFive you don't like, yeah, flip them off.
I mean, I'm okay with that. I'm okay
solved.
with that. There is one person I would love to flip off, so I'm good with that. I'm totally good with that solution. Just give me something other than I have to ignore it and pretend that red dot's not there.
Absolutely. So moving along, John, you had an interesting article about camouflage bikes.
Oh,
you
Echelon.
See this? Now, is this innovation?
This is innovation.
This ignorance.
This is innovation. Here's why this is innovation. Because nobody wants to be seen on an Echelon bike.
So now they can just be camouflaged.
I'm just over here moving my legs, people.
Literally nothing to see here.
Yes.
When I posted this, I was like, what's up with this? Echelon has camouflage bikes now. And they did a collaboration, and then people were like, what? Well, are they trying to hide from the latest Peloton lawsuit? Like all kinds of jokes came out of this post. It was hilarious, the whole post.
It is hilarious, but now I know I don't think that you're a hunter, John. I'm just going to go out on a limb.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not.
Neither am I. I don't know if that shocks anyone, but I come from a family of hunters, so I thought it was interesting the timing of this because it came out the same week as deer season.
Right.
That is not an accident.
Sure.
That is absolutely on purpose. But how interesting that means that their key target audience is very different than a Peloton key target audience.
I don't think they know what their target audience is. I think
someone brought that up.
Yeah, I just think that they're just like, let's try this now. Like, I really don't think, because honestly, I wouldn't think that the Venn diagram of hunters and spin bike users has much overlap.
Not in my family.
And so
who's done that research? And I want to see it.
I want to see it too, because like anyone in my family is not doing that. Like they would laugh at a person doing that. So
I just don't see it. I've never understood the idea of wearing camo when you're hunting anyway, because they make you put on the big giant orange thing over the camo, right? So what have you done?
I thought that was just for the deer.
No, you would never get one of those things on the deer. That would take forever. I don't think. Doesn't even make any sense,
right.
honey.
It's kind of counterintuitive.
It is.
You got to wear the camo, but you put on the bright orange so that people see. Yeah, that doesn't happen.
It doesn't make sense. You can wear whatever you want.
I don't know.
Go out in jeans and a hoodie. That's my solution for everything. Jeans and a hoodie. I would have got married in jeans and a hoodie if she'd have let me.
Yeah, you would have.
I would have got a hoodie with like a little tux on it. Like those T-shirts in the 70s.
Tom.
Right. I remember though.
Yeah.
I think I even had one.
We actually, when we got married, we got each of the kids a tuxedo T-shirt to wear at the reception.
Like, so they could change out of their fancy clothes.
They could be comfortable,
yes,
but still formal.
Wow, that is smart.
Yeah. Very forward thinking.
I was thinking when they did this, similar to what you said, Chris. Well, I wasn't. Actually, someone in the group was thinking, yeah, this is, could this be aligning to Echelon thinking that Peloton is going after all of these, this current state of equity and inclusion, and they're going, well, we're going to go a different direction towards those hunters and people that are more on the conservative side.
Yeah, that's kind of a dog whistle.
Right, that's what someone else mentioned, and I went, I had never thought of that. Maybe that's what it is. Well, but the more I thought about it, I was like what you said, Tom. I was like, nah, they were just like, hey, let's throw this up in there.
Slap camo on it.
Let's see what sticks. I don't know. Be careful what you ask for is all I can say. Be careful the kind of people that you attract to your brand. You got to be careful about that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I
think they were just spitballing. Somebody was just sitting in a meeting one day and nobody was saying nothing. And one person went, camo.
You know what it probably is? It probably is that the guy who owns Mossy Oak is probably buddies with the Echelon guy. And they were like, they just made up a thing. Yeah, that's
what it was.
And nobody else was asked or consulted with.
And there are a lot. That's a very common thing to slap camo and stuff. It's kind of low-hanging fruit. There was an episode of Mad Men where they made fun of the slug line, the cure for the common, insert something here, because it's kind of like hack and overused. So it's like the cure for the common breakfast cereal, the cure for the common car, the cure, right? And like, to me, slapping camo on something, it's the cure for the common breakfast cereal.
I don't know. Like, I hear you.
It's just, it's easy. And you'll get some people that are into it for sure, but it's just kind of like there's not a whole. It's not a stroke of genius at this point. It's kind of, if they were stand-up comic, it'd be like, let me tell you about the difference between New York and L.A.
Yeah,
you know?
I've seen a lot of interesting kind of plays. That's one. I also saw a Soul Cycle online ad today where they had like a live saxophonist in the class while people were riding. Like going on and on. G? And they're just riding. They're like, it was like a whole Kenny G vibe. And he's just walking through the bikes, just doing his like sax thing. I'm like, wow, they're like trying.
Well, at least they're throwing out some. At least they're throwing out some things that are different than what Peloton does. I will give them that. Yeah. I mean, it's not my thing, but at least it's different. It's not a complete copycat. So. Points for that?
I think that was original. That one was original. I don't know how good it is, but it was original.
Soul Cycle. It hits your Kenny G spot.
Oh, Tom!
What? It is.
No?
I want to see. That was a good one.
The cure for the common G spot? Is that better?
John's dead.
Yes. There's nothing common about them. Each one is unique and special.
This is too much. This is too much. This is too much. That's a good one.
Well, on that note, maybe we should wrap things up.
That might be a good idea.
So until next week, John, where can people find you?
They can find me, and they can find this post about Kenny G and Soul Cycle in my Facebook group and my Facebook page, Run, Lift, and Live. They can find me on Instagram, where I'm not posting this G spot thing, Run, Lift, and Live. Or they can find me on the Tickety-Tock. Or they can find me at runliftandlive.com.
Well, thank you so much.
I see you guys. Have a great vacation.
See you later. Hopefully we'll see you Saturday.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah, I'll see you up there.
Awesome.
Yay.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Looking forward to it. You too.
Getting the Psychological Edge with Dr. Jenn.
Joining us once again via the magic of ZoomTube is Dr. Jenn Mann, licensed marriage, family, and child therapist and sports psychology consultant. You may know her from VH1's Couples Therapy with Dr. Jenn.
I love that show.
Her VH1's Family Therapy with Dr. Jenn, her long-running radio show, The Dr. Jenn Show, and she's written 4 best-selling books, including The Relationship Fix, Dr. Jenn's 6-Step Guide to Improving Communication, Connection, and Intimacy. It's Dr. Jenn. Hello.
Hi.
Hey!
She's still on her bike.
Here I am.
Oh, well, I identify with this next question. This one comes from Priya Banerjee, and she says she wants to know how to really push herself. She struggles to run a 5K. And I read more into this question. I read into it that, like, she's saying, you know, I do the workouts because I know she does. I see all her workouts, but like, how do you like mentally, I will go hard, you know, and like you really grow, you really push to that next level. It's hard to know when where that line is, you know?
Absolutely. And look, obviously check with your doctor, make sure there's nothing that physical to hold you back. I got to give that disclaimer. But really, you know, a lot of the Peloton instructors, and Robin in particular, talks about changing your relationship with discomfort. And I think that there's a lot of truth to that because discomfort is what turns us into better, stronger athletes. And, you know, at the same time, you also want to make sure you're not pushing yourself so hard that you're doing damage. And I think that one of the things to really look at is do an evaluation of your workout and really look at, am I giving myself days that are a little easier and a little harder? Am I setting myself for workouts that if you're going to push yourself differently on a 20-minute treadmill run than you're going to push yourself on a 60-minute treadmill run? And pacing yourself and figuring out where you can push and also what pushing means to you. Like right now, all of a sudden I've decided after many years now of Peloton that I'm like, okay, I'm ready to start doing some hills because before they were hurting my back, but now I'm a lot stronger and I developed those muscles. So I'm doing hills on my 20-minute run, not on my 30-minute run, not on my 45-minute run or any of my long runs. So it's knowing really what your body needs and finding smaller ways to push and also watching yourself talk when you are on the bike or on the tread or whatever it is you're doing or lifting. When you find yourself saying like, oh, I'm going to give up or I can't do this, to really stop and say, this is making me stronger, to change that mantra in your head. This is making me stronger. This is making me a better athlete. This is helping me increase my endurance. This is how you become stronger. Those are the kind of mantras that you want to be saying in your head. And at the same time, you also want to respect your body. You want to make sure that you're not pushing so hard that you injure yourself, but finding that balance. And sometimes that means maybe working with a trainer, working with someone who is familiar with Peloton and maybe having them hang with you while you do a workout, even virtually, so that they can say like, okay, you know what, what's your heart rate right now? You know what, you can push yourself faster or harder, and really getting to know your body in a bigger sense. And also, you know, ask yourself, what is it that prevents you from pushing yourself? Are you scared? Are you someone who has been injured or maybe had a childhood illness where you got the impression that you are more fragile than you are? Or is it emotional? Are you afraid of seeing what you're really capable of? Is there a part of you that's holding back because maybe that is scary for you in some way? So I think it's worth exploring not just the physical aspect of it, but the emotional aspect. What holds you back? What is the message you have about yourself that makes you not push yourself?
That's powerful. That really is.
And I'm trying to think of why I don't push myself.
You do push yourself.
Well, I mean, at the moment.
But look, Tom and I explored for many years what it was that held you back, the family messages that you had where people were pushing you to do physical activities that you didn't want to do. And so you rebelled by not doing anything. And that held you back. That kept you from pushing yourself to even do light exercise. But now you've broken through that and you found your way.
And now I'm like, oh, and I did it during a year when you weren't allowed to see your family.
No coincidence.
That is interesting.
Yeah, because it's like really it's just my sister at this point in terms of like blood relatives of who I grew up with because my parents have passed. But like she was never like that to me. But like I don't know. It's just that's odd.
But she's gonna have a rude awakening whenever she sees you.
Yeah, because she hasn't seen me in person for over a year.
She's gonna be like, "Where's Tom?"
Yeah. Oh goodness. So well, thank you so much for all that. Before we let you go, remind everybody where they can find you in the interim.
You can find me on all social media: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all of that sort of stuff, at Dr. Jenn Man, 2 N's on Jen, 2 N's on Man. I post all of my Peloton workouts on my Insta stories. So if you want to bond Peloton bonding, that's where you can find the most info on Peloton from me.
Instructors in the news.
I'm so glad Dancing with the Stars is over. I'm sorry Cody didn't win, but it's super excited for him that he made it to the final episode, right? Like, so he got all the PR he could possibly get out of it. So
absolutely
good for him. But
also, all the money. I read that like you get like $250,000 to $350,000 if you make it to the final episode.
Well,
I mean that was definitely worth doing from a financial perspective. I know that's probably not the only reason he did it, but but it's certainly not a bad thing.
And my guess is like, and I think Cody's doing fine, so I'm not trying to cast aspersions on his income, but of the three, I'm thinking he probably is the lesser paid. JoJo Siwa's been touring and records and merchandise out the wazoo since she was like 7, and the other guy was in the NBA, which is tons of money. So like, you know, good on him, man. Good on him.
Yeah, I just have to say, I was so happy that Cody, if he had to lose, he lost to Iman, because that's historic all by itself. You know, he's the first NBA player to make it to the finals, and then he won the whole dang thing. And so if Cody had to lose, I'm going to go with I would rather Iman win than JoJo. And I say that not anything against JoJo. I mean, she's whatever. She's not my thing, but I don't dislike her.
I mean, I do think she was probably the best dancer.
I think she was the best dancer, but I also think that like she does that for a living. And that's the show's fault. That's not JoJo's fault. I wish they were more consistent. I would have enjoyed the show so much more if it was like consistent and it was like everyone's going to have the same like level of where they come from a dancing perspective. Right. Whatever that level is, if everybody's on the same page, I don't care. Yeah. But that's not what they do. And then like saying that it's a popularity contest and people getting so mad about it. Well, it is a popularity contest because they want people at home to vote. So because they wrap that in with the judges' scores, they're the ones asking for it to be a popularity contest. Yeah. And so I don't know. I don't really care for the show. None of my criticism has anything to do with the people. Right. But at any rate, it was a historic win because he was the first NBA player. And I do think it's cool that JoJo was the first person to dance with a same-sex partner. Like, I think that's cool and unique. But I think everybody that made it to the finals kind of had their own, they all had a piece of uniqueness. Sure. And I have to say that Cody, when he did his very last dance, which was kind of like a
the freestyle one.
The freestyle, thank you. That was the best that he has danced all season.
I would agree. And I don't know if it was like, because it was the last one, he felt like he could kind of really not have to be concerned and it was less pressure because it's kind of done at that point. But yeah, that felt like, from what little bit I know about Cody, because obviously I've never taken a ride but it seemed like that was the first time, and from a dancing standpoint, where he was him. He was just all him. And that's what I loved about it. It was just pure Cody energy. And I feel like if they had been able to show that the entire season, he probably would have won, to be honest. He was amazing. Yeah, I would agree with that wholeheartedly. But overall, it was excellent for Peloton. It was excellent for Cody. And if people didn't know, there were tons of instructors in the audience last night. Maddie, Ali Love. Who else was there? God, was it Olivia? Well, they used some of them on TV, they had recorded videos. So Jen Sherman was on there.
And Robin. And then Peloton did a video. All of the instructors sent him good luck.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. It was a great video. But it was really great to see that he had so much support, so much love. Everybody in the community came together. There were so many people voting last night. It was just wonderful. But I'm glad it's done too.
Yeah.
I'm ready to move on.
That show was just not for me. And I loved American Idol back in the day. I don't watch it now, but we've had 6-7 seasons in a row. I watched every episode. And there was so much. This show was very loud.
It was very loud. So much
screaming.
Yelling.
Why?
Yeah.
All the judges screamed their answers. I was like, stop yelling at me.
I agree. Yeah, that Bruno is the worst. Every time he's got to stand up. And then Juliana Huff was substituting for her brother, Derek Huff, last night. And she and Bruno were they were each trying to one-up each other with their flamboyancy, and I was just like, can we stop now?
Yes.
Gosh, it was a lot.
It was a lot. So I guess it doesn't matter now, but there was some heat throughout the week because people who did not want Cody to win thought that him having the Peloton muscle behind him was unfair.
Right.
But it's but they all have got muscle. I mean, Iman had the NBA, and JoJo has her huge fan base.
Not only that, but she totally plugged herself on the music awards the other night. So that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, these people.
and it is okay. To be clear,
it is okay. But my point is, one is not okay,
right.
and one is that doesn't make sense. But yes, it was fine for her to plug herself. It's no different than us all posting and being don't forget to vote for Cody.
Totally. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You use what platforms are afforded to you. And so you're dumb if you don't. So, but at the end of the day, it's a dumb reality show. They're all still rich and famous. They're gonna be okay.
And I have to say, I think that's another issue that we talked about this last night that we both have with the show is that when it was The Voice or what
American Idol.
That was all people that they were no ones.
And this was a real break for them, especially once it became obvious that the show could create stars.
Yeah.
Right? And
so that was life changing.
But all these people, because it's Dancing with the Stars, they're coming in with notoriety and fan bases, and they're successful already. And so
it's hard to be it's hard to care as much.
It's just one more thing that they're going to do, and then they'll move on to the next thing, and then they'll be on, couples therapy or which they need to bring back.
Oh my God, yes. That show was so good.
But you know what I mean? So it's it's the stakes just aren't the same because, when some kid from Idaho gets cut from American Idol, well, his dreams have been dashed. But when somebody gets cut from Dancing with the Stars, they just go back to their soap opera or what have you.
Exactly.
So it's, it's just not the same. And then I think this is our last Cody story for the week. Not ever. Calm down.
Yeah, for sure.
Calm down. But Cody did an interview with Men's Health, which was really interesting, and talking about.
Actually, this came from his interview with Kelly Clarkson.
Oh,
Men's Health wrote about it,
and they repurposed it. Gotcha. Okay, so he was on Kelly Clarkson talking about how growing up homeless it gave him a strong work ethic,
and it makes perfect sense. I not to compare myself with Cody, but I had some things that happened to me when I was a kid, and it really pushed me to work really hard. So Cody took that much further than I did with his amazing career, but I get why it does. I totally understand how that can push you in a way that just having kind of everything handed to you doesn't.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of respect for him being able to do that, take something hard, and I never want to live like that. And just to be clear, he speaks very highly of his mom. This was not a situation where he was an unhappy kid.
Right.
They just didn't have money, and there were reasons behind that. So if you want to hear the whole story, Tom sends out the newsletter weekly, and he's been doing that like clockwork.
I've been pretty good at it lately.
You can get that article there.
We will be in Boston this week, so that'll be the real test. But but that's the goal. So something people might not know about Peloton is that there are instructors who aren't Cody. And we're going to talk about a few of them now. How about that?
Yeah, well, Robin's had a few articles herself. So
she's doing okay.
I'm thinking she's doing okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is a great article. I love the message here. It's from Insider, and it's Robin, they put right at the top, Peloton star Robin Arzón says she isn't trying to bounce back to her pre-pregnancy body. That would be like going backward. What a great message.
Yeah.
And that's where our Peloton instructors are different from other fitness people. Like, they say things that are genuine, that are like unique and genuine to them. And I think that that's amazing. So she's all about moving forward, building her strength, and she looks better than ever. So as far as like, I mean, I don't know that I could say that, but like a lot of people, I think it's wonderful to be able to think of it as like, what's next, not try to get back to where I was.
Right.
That's just such a good message.
Especially because like that's a losing proposition, right? Like you're going to age, male or female, and you're going to age, and at some point you're not going to be able to get quote unquote back to where you were because you're 50 not 20 or you're 70 not 50, and so it's like that's probably a pretty good mindset to break out of.
It is what a great message from Robin.
So FightCamp has introduced a bunch of new instructors.
They have. So it's like really exciting because it's like you might have already been working out on the platform, but now you get to work out with new people. And that's always fun to kind of broaden that. No matter how much you love the instructors, it's great to add a new one in. So this is a good time to join FightCamp because they are still growing. If you're ready to start fighting for your fitness goals, the holidays are right around the corner. And this is a great time to make 2022 your best year yet.
They have thousands of classes with new workouts added each week. You'll always find something new. You can use filters to explore different workout styles, lengths, trainers, difficulty levels, and so much more. You'll never get bored.
And another thing I love about it is they have so many quick workouts. So you can get a fantastic workout in as little as 20 minutes because it is full body, and most of the time they're HIIT workouts. So it is really intense, really fast.
And the whole family can get involved. FightCamp is one of the only home workouts that is safe for kids to do because there are no heavy weights or spinning wheels. It's an amazing way for them to get their energy out, learn something new, and share an experience with the whole family.
Now is the best time to get your FightCamp. Take advantage of their holiday deal going on now. If you purchase this December, you'll get an additional pair of gloves for free.
Just go to joinfightcamp.com/clip to get an additional pair of gloves for free during December. Go to joinfightcamp.com/clip.
That's joinfightcamp.com/clip.
The clip out.
Welcome back to the show. Angelo from MetPro here to answer your nutrition questions. Hey, how's it going?
Hi.
Hey guys, great to see you again.
It's great to see you too. I am very curious to hear how you answer this one.
Me too.
Emily Grinder, excuse me. I was going to say Grinder, but it actually says Emily Gender. She would like to know top 5 snacks for protein post-workout. However, caveat, preferably none processed.
Okay. Emily, right? So top 5. Didn't we just did a top 5
We
one.
did
So
do a top 5.
We did. People like the listicles.
We can do it again in reverse. Okay. So I'm going to do a little bit of extrapolation here, Emily, and I'm going to say that part of the battle here is not just, okay, what are the 5 best proteins? So if you're talking about absolute consumption, you get into the bodybuilding metrics that, people in competition use and per ratios of calorie to protein intake, and then how fast your body will uptake and utilize that protein. And there's all kinds of arguments for engineered whey protein powders. And then some people that want a slower release will do, blended protein powders. And then if you're going to go to Whole Foods, you can go to liquid egg whites, and you have all these sort of things. With all that said, I'm going to assume that wasn't your question. I'm going to assume what you're looking for is a measure of practicality. So
let's pretend she's a regular person.
So for practicality purposes, what you're looking for, and this is what I really drill into my clients every day, is what makes a good snack is it has to be quick, it has to be portable, and it has to be not messy. Those are the virtues and the qualities we're looking for. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. So by those metrics, I do like protein powders. Personally, I use a vegan protein powder. I am not vegan, but I think it's a phenomenal blend. I'm not looking for instant uptake, so I want something that I'm going to be able to digest over a little time. I use a vegan, sometimes a vegetarian protein powder, although I'm not opposed to whey. I like those as well. If you are hitting the gym and you're wanting some immediate protein, then that is quick, portable, easy on the go is protein powders. Now, I will give one.
That's one.
I will give this caveat. A lot of people are still, because for years it's that the anabolic window, an hour after you work out, that has been largely disproven in its efficacy. Now, eating protein never is a bad thing, but before any of my clients adds a post-workout protein, my first question is, are you already eating consistently a minimum of 4 meals a day, if not 5? And here's how that breaks down. At least breakfast, lunch, snack, and dinner, if not breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner. Because having those in place on a daily basis as part of your routine is going to be more meaningful in your workout recovery, in reaching your goals, whether it's athletic, muscular development, or fat loss, than any post-workout recovery or protein will. So make sure those are in place first, because then you'll always have a post-workout meal or protein coming around the horn, no matter what time of day you're exercising. So assuming you have a good routine already in place, then as we said, something like a protein powder works. You can do turkey, chicken, fish. That fish in this instance would be probably a white fish, basically a low-fat fish in this case for quicker utilization. Messes are the issue there. I have a lot of clients that really are good with carrying a can opener and having the little cans of tuna, having the little cans of chicken. They're ready to go. If you're one of my clients, you already have a bunch of chicken breast cooked in the fridge or whatever protein. It could be a vegetarian protein source or whatever, but you have it in bulk. So it's a matter of just throwing it in a little container to go before you left. So there's chicken, turkey, fish. Now kind of in the B category, which is still good. I'm going to say not as good, but still very good, is going to be super convenient things like low-fat string cheese. That's going to be the right mozzarella sticks. And here's the one that you haven't heard before, veggie patties. You got to find a high-protein, low-carb version, because some of them are real high in carb. Yeah. By the way, maybe you want carbs post-workout. Because you didn't mention that, that's why I'm giving the caveat that you'll want to find one that's higher in protein, a little bit lower in carb. But back in the day, I used to get my garden burgers, my Boca burgers. I would put them in the toaster. What? I would grab a napkin. I would catch them out of the toaster, and I would walk out of the house. Bam! That easy.
And if you need the carbs, you eat the napkin.
No, not recommended.
That's this is why I'm not a MetPro
Yeah,
coach.
Yes. No, don't listen to Tom.
Okay.
That was not tip 5.
Don't eat the napkin. Reserve that for very dire circumstances. All right, so there's our 5 options.
Was that 5?
I thought it was 4.
The napkin makes 5.
The napkin made 5. Hey, we got whey protein. We got vegan protein. We got chicken, turkey, fish, string cheese, veggie patties. I'm an overachiever. Come on, guys. That was more than 5.
You kind of lumped the chicken and
chicken,
the
turkey, fish was like one thing.
Yeah, you were like...
Yeah.
So, yes. You did more than 5.
We'll allow it.
Okay.
We'll allow it.
Emily's head is spinning. She's like, yeah, thanks. I got what I needed to this part.
She can't talk right now because her mouth is full of napkin. So if people want advice like this, but not napkin advice.
Not the napkin part.
Yes.
Go to metpro.co/TCO.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Peloton in the news.
So, little Tikes, I always thought it was little Tikes but apparently there are T's in there.
There are.
Little Tikes made it a Peloton-like bike for kids, and child development experts are losing their shit.
I don't even understand this. Okay, so in case you missed it, I mean, this bike has been out for a while.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. I'm like, we've been seeing versions of this for years.
We have, and this one specifically came out last year.
Yeah.
But there had been another version out. It wasn't Little Tikes; it was somebody else.
Sure.
But it's a stationary bike, and they're saying like this is bad because kids can't go out and explore. What the hell? Who is letting a 4-year-old go out and explore their neighborhood?
Yeah, like Little Tikes is for, I don't know if you.
It says 3 to 7.
It's for Tikes who are of the little variety.
I mean, it literally says it's children ages 3 to 7.
Right. So like, it's not designed for like a 12-year-old.
Right. And it is, in my mind, in this day and age, it is completely inappropriate, at least where we live, to let a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old run around the neighborhood at will. Like, I would never do that.
No.
So I can't believe that is what the experts are saying. Like, it's just not a good idea. They need to roam their neighborhood on foot or on bike the way we did.
Yeah.
What?
It's like, and they need to take candy from strangers.
Yeah.
It's the only way they'll ever learn to tell the good ones from the bad ones.
I mean, this is the craziest thing. It's just like the fact, I don't know. I've never seen anything like this.
I feel like they had to go out of their way to find people that took this position just so they could write the article.
And put Peloton in the name?
Yeah, because it's like the person they get, Roberta Golenkoff, a University of Delaware professor.
Who studies child development.
Here's her quote. It just feels so bogus to me.
And it doesn't feel like something that kids will use a lot.
That's the quote. This is from a professor. It feels so bogus. Like, and she doesn't even teach at University of California, which I would then allow for. But this is part of their cultural heritage. I don't want to judge. But I'm just like, that's your quote to CNN? It feels bogus.
Well, there's also Lenore Skenazy. Kids want to be part of the real world. A stationary bike doesn't prepare them for anything but moving their legs in a circular motion. I beg to differ. What? So next, let me just say, we probably ought to ban those little kitchens that you know they have,
right.
And then like the little tiny lawnmowers that blow bubbles. All that shit needs to go. All of it.
And also, kids want to be part of the real world. Spoken like someone who doesn't have a kid. They just.
They don't care.
They just want to. They want to stare at a screen. I'm not saying we should let them.
No,
but like
they want to be like their parents, and that's what parents are doing. That's why people are using these bikes, because they can literally sit next to you while you're on the bike, and they're doing their thing, and they feel grown up like mom and dad.
Yeah.
That's a great thing. I totally disagree with this article. What's bogus is this article.
Yes. So GQ. Has a review.
It's GQ
Australia, GQA.com.au, which first I thought meant gold. Because that's a little periodic table joke out there for you non-nerds. I only remember that AU means gold because of a mnemonic created on an episode of Facts of Life.
We're going deep.
We're going deep.
Okay, you got me.
Tootie was teaching Natalie how to remember it. And she was like, you remember it like if someone has your gold watch and they stole your gold watch, what would you say? Hey, you, come back with my gold watch. And now you will never remember it, thanks to a Catskill comedian who was moonlighting as a writer for Facts of Life.
Wow.
Anyway, back to the review.
Okay, well, thanks. So they talk about it's an amazing product, but will it take off in Australia?
I think it already has.
I think so too.
That's their best market outside of America, right? Like they're
it was
like
the fastest growing.
Yeah.
Like they said that compared to the other countries that they've grown in, that it's like ahead of that curve in Australia. So, I mean, I don't know if it's technically the fastest growing, but if you compare side by side,
right,
then it is. So, for the same time frames. So, yeah, I guess we will see. What happens, you know, if there's anybody else. We've interviewed an Australian, and we have some Australian listeners, so I would love to hear your thoughts on it. If you want to reach out to us, I like to listen. I like to talk to people who actually use the products, you know,
absolutely,
not just an article. So if anybody is interested in speaking about that, please reach out to me at clipoutcrystal.com. Oh, wait, I didn't say that right at all. clipoutcrystal@gmail.com. It's like half of an email address.
Peloton stock ticker.
So CMC Markets asks the question, can Peloton's share price really bounce back? And I think that it's not about whether it can bounce back. It's about whether it can be as fit as it needs to be in the current day.
Well, that's good.
You can never get back to where you were.
Don't go backwards.
Don't go backwards.
Well, that's good that you feel that way, Tom, because we're down to $42 today. I mean, I don't know what this article says because I didn't read it that well, but yes, they can. It just takes some time.
Yeah, it's right now. I feel like they're in a moment of like they're no longer the new shiny thing, and so whenever you're popular, there's a backlash, and they're in their backlash moment. And I think if they write it out, they will be fine.
And they will.
Yeah.
They will write it out. They'll be fine.
And there's also so many people that just have Schadenfreude, and so when they do stumble, they love to. I mean, we I don't want to say Schadenfreude for us, but I'll make fun of anything. But we've made some jokes. But I think there are people out there that really enjoy the fact that Peloton is not having a great moment.
Oh, for sure.
At the moment.
For sure. I mean, there's the serial haters out there that,
totally.
They're like, they've been around forever and Peloton didn't grow the way they wanted to. So they just like constantly are posting bitchy stuff about Peloton. And it's disgusting and I hate it. If you don't like it, just leave. Like, then don't be here.
Yeah.
Checking out the competition.
So NordicTrack has created a kerfluffle of sorts by, I guess their machines are now atheists. They've shut down God Mode.
Yeah, so if you don't know what that is, God Mode allows you to watch things like Netflix on your treadmill. Now, Peloton has long been on record of not allowing this. Yes, there are hacks to get around it.
Right.
I know that.
You void your warranty, but you get to watch Netflix. Hooray.
Right. But that's not the tack that NordicTrack took. See, they've always allowed it. And in fact, they even had how-to manuals right on their website that explained how to access it. But all of a sudden, now they've stopped. It's no longer allowed. They have blocked the access to it. And that's really interesting because there are people that chose NordicTrack specifically because they could watch things like Netflix on their treadmill.
I always thought it was smart that Peloton does not allow people to access things like Netflix. I also think it's smart that NordicTrack did.
Because it's a differentiator?
It's a differentiator. And I think especially on treadmills, there's a lot of people that they're used to going to the gym and watching the news or whatever's on the screen. Like that's all those gyms have TVs showing you different shows to watch, right? That's a very common way to interact with your treadmill, especially. So like I feel like that's appropriate and something a lot of people want. I think it's smart that Peloton doesn't because their tact is we're ultimately selling you this content and our content's really good. And what's going to keep you coming back is your engagement and relationship with your favorite instructor or instructors. And I think NordicTrack's trying to follow that model, but I don't think that they figured out that maybe their content needs to be better before they do that.
Well, even if their content is amazing, it's not going to matter because people chose it specifically for that reason. So, there are people that get irritated with that about Peloton, and I've never understood it because you're going to spend all that money on a treadmill. Why would you not want to pay for the amazing content that we have? But also, just to be fair, I don't think that way in general because it bores me to watch TV. I don't push myself in the same way. Like whenever I have somebody saying, okay, now push, I am going to go much harder than just watching a TV show.
Sure. Like, absolutely. And, and there might be with people watching Netflix, you might have households where, one partner wants to watch Netflix and one partner wants that guidance and instruction.
Absolutely.
So you could have that. But yeah, I think that like there are a lot of people that clearly want it and that's a differentiator. I think it's a mistake for them to do it. But
I think it's a mistake for them to turn it off.
Yes.
That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we'll see what happens.
In case you missed it.
So the holiday seasons are officially upon us, and there is a Black Friday apparel sale for people.
Yeah, and the apparel is up to 50% off. There's some really good deals. I would say in some cases it's more than 50% off because that puffer coat was $300 and it's now down to $70.
Oof.
Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
And if you were one of the people lucky enough to pay attention to the fact that your referral code was ending on the 18th, you got to stack your referral code on top of the 50% sale, which is notable because it's not something they've ever done before.
Interesting.
This is also the biggest sale they've had in a very, very, very long time. I think maybe ever, except for the warehouse sales.
That's different, though. Yeah.
Peloton artist collaboration.
Peloton has announced yet another artist collaboration, this time with the Beatles.
And keep in mind, this is the second Beatles collaboration. They are returning to Peloton for a brand new artist series featuring all the iconic tracks from the long-awaited docuseries, The Beatles Get Back.
Oh, I cannot wait for this. It hits Disney Plus, I believe, Thanksgiving Day, and it looks amazing. So there, for people that don't know, they made a film called Get Back, which was as they were recording the album Get Back, and so they all went in the studio, and it was like they were trying to get away from like a lot of like the bells and whistles and stuff they were doing. It was just the guys with their instruments playing, right? And it's kind of the demise of the band, and so there's all this footage, and they made a movie that the Beatles weren't super happy with, and so Peter Jackson, the guy who directed
Lord of the Rings
and the Kong reboot and other things like that, he's gone through all this footage, and it's like, I think it ends up being like a 9 or 10 hours documentary of their recording sessions, and this is the one that ends with the famous rooftop concert, which was, I believe, the last time they played live together. So
it was.
And it's all been remastered for HD, and the trailers and stuff that I've seen, it looks like it was filmed today. Well, it's crazy.
It's also interesting because yet again we have artist and Disney and Peloton. So it's another collaboration with Disney and an artist. I love the cover. I love how they show the two different kind of versions of Peloton. I'm sure that's on two different versions of the Beatles, and I'm sure that's on the docuseries.
Well, so that's an album cover. So they have two greatest hits that they put out that were double albums. One was red, one was blue. And the red one was them in that apartment or hotel looking over the balcony like that. What appears to be, I'd guess, 1965-ish. And then the other one is like 1969-ish. And so those two different greatest hits covered the different eras.
Okay.
And so they used this iconic photo of them in the same place, in the same poses, but 4 years apart, looking very different.
I love it.
So so if you're a Beatles fan, you are very, very familiar with those photos.
Well, it's just in time for the docuseries because all the classes start November 27th. Enjoy.
Peloton birthdays.
So we have to wish a happy belated birthday to Bradley Rose, who celebrated his birthday on November 22nd.
Happy birthday. We will have you on the calendar next year, Mr. Rose.
Yes, we will. And happy birthday to Jenn Sherman. Her birthday is December 1st. So
happy birthday, dear Jenn.
Don't forget to wish her a happy birthday.
Checking in with the Peloton community.
So joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube, it's Bridget Nieves. Hey, Bridget, how's it going?
Hi. So happy to have you here. I always like to ask people, like, as their first question, how they originally found Peloton and decided this was the exercise equipment they needed.
I actually found Peloton through two of my close friends. Two of my best friends both had Pelotons, and they were like, you have to get this bike. You have to get this bike. And it was a little out of my price range at first. So, it was always on the back burner.
Sure.
So it was definitely my best friends. Two of my best friends have Peloton. So it's right in my ear the whole time.
Was that getting old? Were you just like,
and they kept talking about these instructors, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, and I just kind of felt like I was out of the loop a little bit, but if they were ranting about it, I trust them, so it had to be something magical. So.
Well, that's good.
When did you end up getting the bike?
I ended up getting the bike. I ordered it on June 6th, 2020.
A
very specific day.
Okay.
I was like, June 6th, 2020. I was like, so you just got it like a week ago? Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Because of all the delays during the pandemic.
I was not following at all.
Yeah, no, it did take 2 months for my bike to come once I did order it. But, I did order it in June and it came in August. So.
Okay. And it was a specific day. So tell us about the day.
So ordering the Peloton was kind of the precipitating factor in me starting my weight loss journey. So I made this purchase to buy this bike, and the financial investment of getting the Peloton was really what committed me to making my changes, my lifestyle changes going forward. So that date sticks in my head a lot because it was a really big turning point for me in my life. Yeah, that's why June 6th, it will always be really special to me because since purchasing that bike, I've lost 103 pounds. So.
Holy cow.
That is incredible. But like,
you're so worried about the price of that bike. What about the price of all those clothes?
Oh, that's something no one tells you,
right?
Get ready to buy lots of clothes in lots of sizes because it's a process.
Yeah, it doesn't happen overnight, but you lost the weight pretty quickly. I mean, 100 pounds in 11 months. So is that just because you started using the Peloton? Or is that because you changed other things?
I made a lot of changes and a lot of small changes that added up to big changes over time, right? So when I made the purchase to buy the Peloton, I simultaneously downloaded this app called the Lose It app. I have an Apple Watch and an iPhone. So I was just Googling what apps were great for, both of those devices. And this one came up. So I went on a whim, I downloaded it. And it just gives you put in your height, your weight, your gender, and it tells you eat this many calories. So I was like, okay. And I just went with that. And I was like, okay, I'm going to eat this many calories. I forget what number it set me out at. I feel like it was probably around like 1800 when I first started. And so from June to August, I counted calories and I was mindful about what I was eating. In the beginning, I think I was a lot more restrictive than I would ever be now because you're dieting, right? Yeah, I don't know what I was doing. I was like, okay, I can't eat this. I can't eat that. I'm just going to stay within my calories and try to be as healthy as I can. So in those first 2 months, I lost about 30 pounds before the bike even arrived. And that was just being mindful of my calories and watching what I was eating. So that really just understanding how many calories something is and how much you should be eating really put things in perspective for me. And you learn very quickly what foods you can eat more of that don't burn all your calories. So you're making small changes without even realizing it. Like I'm going to eat 4 cups of green beans because that's only 100 calories where 4 cups of rice is 1,000 and I'm going to lose all my calories, So just having the app and being mindful and logging everything really shifted things for me.
Wow. Shift is a perfect word because, when you say things like, 100 calories for 4 cups of green beans, but you also have to like the green beans, right? Yeah. So, right. But it makes you make choices. Like you're mindful shifting, like the words you're using are so powerful because it's a choice. It's every day. It's a choice. It's not a diet. It's not, it's making the choice that like, I'm going to eat in this different way. I'm going to make these other choices that I haven't been making. So were you just able to like stick with those changes and you never looked back? Or did you have moments where you were like, oh, this is not working. I need to change this over here. Or how did that go?
Absolutely. I think every day I'm making changes and I'm shifting and I'm finding new things that work for me. But I think the motivating factor for me going on this journey was when we were in 2020, that was a scary time, right? We're in the middle of the pandemic. And I was morbidly obese. And when you're turning on the news, all you're seeing is risk factors for COVID-19, obesity. And I was terrified. I have 2 small children. At that time, my kids were 3 and 1. So all I kept thinking was, if I don't lose this weight and I get COVID, I'm going to die and my kids are not going to have their mother. And that was frightening. It was probably the biggest wake up call I've ever had in my life. So I think that that in the back of my head has been the biggest motivating factor for me in all of this. So, making changes for what I'm eating is minuscule compared to, the sacrifice that I need to do to be here for my kids. So if I have to, find 2 green vegetables that I like and eat those vegetables, I'm going to do that because my kids need me, So and just to circle back to your question, I'm constantly adjusting and constantly making choices that work for me, right? Because this is, like you said, it's not a diet. This is my life. I'm making sustainable changes to the way I look at food, to the foods I'm eating that are gonna be lifelong changes. So I'm not gonna tell myself I can't have this and I'm not gonna have this. I'm gonna find a way to still have those things, stay within my calories, and still make smarter choices.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
It does.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I relate, but in the inverse, when you were like, you know, if I don't make these changes, my kids aren't going to have their mother. I'm like, if I don't make these changes, my kids are going to have their mother. And so that's my primary.
Lucky kids.
Yeah.
You got to do what you got to do.
So what's the hardest thing to walk away from for you, or maybe a more positive way to phrase it is what's the thing that you choose on the days you decide to splurge?
I feel like there's like splurging isn't really a thing for me anymore because I'm incorporating all the foods I love every day. Like I have a cookie probably 5 out of 7 nights a week. I have a pint of ice cream before I go to bed. So like a splurge to me, like in the past when I would restrict myself and say, you know, you can't eat these things. I remember I tried to go vegan, and I give so much props to people who are vegan because, you know, there's a lot of things you cannot eat. For me, it didn't work. I tried it for 3 days and then I went and had 6 donuts at Dunkin' Donuts because I was like losing my mind. So like that would be like a splurge. Whereas now, like I'd say like a splurge would be my birthday and I'm just going to eat maintenance that day. And I'm not, you know, I'm still mindful of absolutely everything I'm eating. I'm logging it. I'm not saying, you know, I'm not going to have that or I'm not going to think about it. Everything is getting logged and it's accountable for, but I just think the way I think about food is so different now that those words are just not the same anymore. You know,
well, that's awesome.
It is.
Yeah,
that is,
and that bodes
awesome.
well long term, I guess. And they didn't mean it to be a test. But you passed, I guess.
Pass.
I wasn't trying to. I wasn't going to be like, no, wrong answer. Cake means you're a failure.
I love cake. So.
So what were you, before you made these changes, were you working out at all? Like what did life look like before?
So, no, I had a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. My day is just consistently momming. And we were in the middle of the pandemic. So I was pretty much indoors, you know, for all of that time, just taking care of my kids. The most exercise would be, we would go on like a walk around the block maybe. And that was far and few between because I was always so tired. Like I would do maybe, you know, like a quarter of a mile and be like, okay, guys, mommy has to come back because I'm winded. So, you know, for those, I would say after my children, my exercise levels dramatically decreased. Whereas like growing up, I was always someone who loved exercise. I was a basketball player in high school. I did kickboxing. Like I love exercise. I thrive on competition. But, you know, becoming a mom and I worked 2 jobs and I just fell to the sideline. You know, my health just took the back burner.
Okay, so 2 jobs, 2 kids. How are you finding time to exercise and to eat healthily? Because it's not the easiest thing to do.
Planning. I am somebody who's just by nature a very organized and structured person. Like that, I feel like that's intuitively who I am. That's not everybody, but that for me, I guess it worked to my benefit in this situation because I'm like, all right, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to find time to exercise and I have to know what I'm eating and when I'm eating it, right? Because having knowledge of calories is great, but if you're constantly going over it because you're just grabbing whatever and not having a plan, it's not helping. You're not helping yourself. So having the Lose It app was really, really great for me because it allows you to plan in advance. So I would sit down at night. My kids are in bed by 8:30. 8 to 9 is my time. So that I'm planning my meals for the next day. I'm on my Peloton. I'm taking care of whatever I need to take care of. In the beginning, that looked like me planning 3 days out because I needed to have that safety blanket of knowing that I'm not going to go over my calories these next 3 days because I have everything planned from, you know, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and my snack is all organized. And it's all things I like to eat. So I know I'm going to look forward to eating those things. And then 8 to 9 is, you know, my time to get on that bike and take care of my mental health, my work on me on that bike. So just really designating that time to planning for my food and exercise was really instrumental for me. And then going to watch whatever I want on Netflix after, you know, so like.
I mean, I think that that's great to hear because there's so many there's so many people out there that feel like, especially when you have kids, it's hard to find the you time. And I feel like you nailed it. It's the planning. The planning is so, so important. And it is for me as well. I can't, you have best intentions, right? But 100%. Then if you don't have a plan and you have a bad day, it will all go to shit in 2 seconds.
100%. 100%. Like, if I didn't plan what I'm having for lunch tomorrow and then my stomach's grumbling, somebody comes in the office with fast food, if I didn't have my planned lunch ready to go, you're going to make the unhealthy choice. Not because you don't have good intentions, like you said, it's because it's convenient. So I don't want to make choices out of convenience. I want to make smart choices that I'm planning for myself to set myself up to be successful.
I love that. I really love that. I love hearing that. It's, and people say, well, you don't have time to plan, and it does take time to plan. But I think that you get better at it over time. And so the planning time decreases, which makes everything else you have more time to do your other things.
One of my friends, she says this quote all the time. She says, failing to plan is planning to fail. Mm-hmm. And that just sticks with me at my core, because you have to plan, right? So you have to say, I'm going to plan this time to plan. So you have to take 2 steps ahead of yourself to get yourself ready. And if you don't do that, you're not going to be successful, because you're not setting yourself up, and you're not putting yourself in that right mind frame. So I think I just said, this is, just that mind switch where it's like, I am doing this and I'm going to do this for me. I'm going to do this for my kids. And this is what it's going to take in the beginning. And, and just sticking to it.
That first time you plan it all out, though, it's a little overwhelming. Like,
it can be.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. I mean, when you did, or when I started doing it, I have to plan a lot less, because I just eat the same stuff over and over again.
Same.
But it's like, it is just, you see it all spread out, and you're just like, oh dear.
Yeah.
And then with calorie counting, they're like, you have to weigh and measure everything. Like, you can't just use a measuring scoop. And I'm like, no, you get that scale out. And like you said, when it's in the beginning, it can be daunting, because it's like every single item you're planning for, and you're weighing and you're measuring. So what I would do is bulk meals. So I would go to like Skinny Taste, and I would make something off of her recipe and then have that for 4 days and weigh out each portion. So it's like I have the total calories for the whole meal and then weigh out each portion so they're even. And then that's how I would do it, because like you said, it can be just so overwhelming when you're like, I don't even know where to begin. So, taking other recipes and breaking it down for yourself can help a lot too.
Do you ever have days where you're just like, I don't want to plan, I'm tired, stop?
Yes.
What do you do?
Yes. I'll buy there's some local small businesses in the area that do meal prep. So I have in the freezer on nights like that, meals ready to go. So that's like my backup plan, my plan B. So I'll just pull out a meal that I have. Hummus Fit is a meal prep service that I really like in the area. So I'll have a hummus meal in my freezer, and I'll pull out one of my hummus meals, and I'm good to go. So it's like, if I don't want to plan for tomorrow, and a lot of these meal prep services, they'll do like oats, which I love, overnight oats. They have oats, they have muffins, you name it. So quick, easy, grab and go. So it takes the thought out of it too. So that's my backup plan.
In case of emergency.
Yeah.
Yes, I have emergency dinners, and they have the nutrition information. So it's like, it tells me how many calories, everything ready to go. I don't have to think about it.
That's fantastic. Oh, yeah. My planning heart is so happy right now. Like, you speak to my planning heart. Now you were featured in an article. So tell us about that. How did that come to be?
So like I said, I use the Lose It app. So they have a public relations rep who reached out to me through social media, and they said, we have this journalist, we pitched them your story, and they would love to do a written piece on you. And I was like, what? Like, people care about what I have to say? Like, it was just like, it was crazy. So I was like, absolutely, I would love to. And that I had a Zoom interview with her, kind of similar to how we're doing the podcast right now. And the article just kind of took off, and I was trending on Apple News. I was number 4 on Apple News in the country. Like it was just mind blowing.
I bet. How crazy.
Like, people are texting me screenshots of their top news stories, and it's like, we're mom's 3-step plan to weight loss. I was like, oh my God. Like, and I feel like that article has just really opened a lot of doors for me too. I have some things that are in the works that I can't really talk about yet, but like a lot of exciting things are happening from that interview. So it's just really great. And I'm just happy that that article has really helped a lot of people too. Like, a lot of women and men have reached out to me and said, like, what you're doing is what I want to do. Like, you know, you're not restricting yourself. You're still eating the food you love and you're maintaining your weight loss. And like, how do I do this? You know, and I'm just glad that it's showing people that you can still lose weight and eat the food you love. Like, you don't have to give up things that, you know, because food, we have these relationships with food, right? Like they bring us joy, and you don't have to give up that joy to have a thinner body or a healthier body, you know? It's so important.
You have to change. You have to change the amount of it that you eat.
100%.
And maybe not.
I'm not having
that. Right.
100%. Like, and a lot of that's too, like on my Instagram page, like they see the fun stuff. I'm eating veggies all day, every day. You know, I'm eating my roasted peppers, but you're going to see the picture of the cookie because that's more fun, right? And you see that I'm still enjoying things that I love, but I'm not eating a cookie for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You know, I have my 300 calories that I allot every single day to some sort of sweet treat because, you know, that's what I need to keep me dedicated to this. So
yeah,
pictures of lima beans, statistically speaking, don't get much engagement.
That's true.
On the gram.
Oh, you know, I get it.
Exciting. Lima beans lima beans don't do well in the limelight.
You two are like a match made in heaven, I
think. Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Wait, that would mean that my jokes are bad. I think that makes us a match. Oh, it's opposite the track.
Right. That's means. What she was saying.
It's like,
yeah.
Oh, Tom's jokes are so funny.
Right.
Oh, and okay.
So, I get it. I get it now. I'm on it.
Okay, we're on the same page.
Okay. Yeah, I'm caught up. Yeah.
So you did the article. What was the process like? You did the Zoom, like, was it like, boom, 2 days later, the article was there? Was it a week later? Did you have advance warning it was coming? Like, tell us all the details.
So it all transpired really quickly. Like, the Lose It person, on the app on Instagram, she messaged me within 24 hours. I had an appointment to write with the journalist. On a Wednesday, they sent me the message like, hey, we would like to do this on Thursday at 3:30. I was Zooming with her. So like Wednesday night, the PR team, they called me and they're like, we're happy to like prep you and go over questions, you know, help you guide you through this. And I'm nervous. I've never done anything like this. So I'm like, okay, you know, and so they kind of walked me through what the interview would go like, which was calming. And the Lose It rep, she sat on the conversation with me as well, just, you know, as a little crutch. And then, so that happened on a Thursday. It was a week and still, and nothing had happened yet. And I'm like, what is going on? So the journalist, she had told me she would send me a rough draft of the article before it went live to make sure I was comfortable with everything that she was writing, because it is such a personal story, sure. Which I greatly appreciated because, you know, I'm being extremely vulnerable, and I am a very private person, which you would not know if you follow me on my Instagram, because I'm, you know, you see like all my most vulnerable feelings about my weight loss and my weight loss journey, but being, you know, just exposing myself and putting your most insecure feelings about yourself out there. I'm just really grateful that she allowed me to just make sure I was comfortable with that. So I would say maybe a week went by, and then I revised, you know, the article she sent out, made sure it was good to go. And then, so that was like on a Saturday. And then Monday night, all of a sudden I started getting a lot of followers on Instagram, and I'm like, what is going on? You know? And I'm like looking at my numbers, and it's like, every time I opens my app, and it's like 25 new friends, 100 new friends. I'm like, tell my husband, I'm like, what is going on right now? And then I got an email from Lose It, like, your story's live. And I'm like, okay, makes sense right now. my social media is going crazy. Like, and so no warning that it was posted. It was just like, boom, here it is. But, yeah, it was really great from start to finish. The experience was really wonderful. The journalist was just really great to work with, and Lose It was really great in facilitating everything. I just felt really fortunate and humbled to just have someone want to share my story. You know, it was really awesome.
Yeah, I totally get that. And it's nice that you get to be such an inspiration to people. And so I'm sure that's very heartwarming as well.
Yeah, because, you know, being overweight is hard, right? It's really hard, and you feel isolated a lot, and you just have all these, there's so many emotions tied in with weight, right? So like you feel however you feel about yourself. And for me, I always felt like maybe I was the one who wasn't picked first, or, you know, like people excluded me from things. It's all in my head, right? Because that was my emotions with myself, and being chosen, it was huge, you know, like somebody wanted me, and it was just, everything, you know?
I do.
Yeah.
What's next on your journey? You mentioned like a maintenance earlier. Is that where you are? Do you just like you're going to be here forever?
I don't know. I don't know. I always had a number in my head, right? I think everybody does when they start their weight loss journey. And I always had 150 in my head, and I'm 161 right now, and I feel really good. Like my clothes fit. I feel good. When I look in the mirror, I see myself now. So I don't know. Like, you know, I've been maintaining because I just enjoy food, right? So if I can maintain and eat a little more food and be happy and healthy,
sure.
I'm good. But then, you know, I see a lot of there's things in my head that I want to do. You know, there's Summer Shredding does this weight loss division. It's a bodybuilding transformation group. And I've like had my eye on that. And I'm like, wow, like, what if I did that next? What if that was my next step? You know, like if I just tried to get myself as strong as I could and show women like, you know, you can change everything and put it all out there. And I think that that's something I'm really thinking about right now. I don't know if I'm going to do it, but that's in my back burner. I don't know. I definitely want to help people going forward. So I'm going to start coaching, lots of things, you know?
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
So many exciting things. That's great.
It's a lot. I feel like I'm in a whirlwind a lot of the time because, you know, I have two small kids. I have these two jobs. And then now, you know, making friends with food is just becoming such, you know, when I started this, it was more like, so people, when they notice that I lost weight, the first thing everybody says to me is, what are you eating? And when I would say whatever I want, no one would believe me. So, you know, I started making friends with food to show people like, I am eating the foods I want, and you can eat, you know, the foods you want. And making friends with food is like, food is not the enemy. Food is not good or bad. You know, it has nutritional value, right? We can look at foods and it's not inherently good or bad, but some are more nutritional and some are less nutritional, right? So that was the whole precipitating factor for starting making friends with food. And it's just become so much more than that. I've made friends because of food now. And it's just, you know, like I have a group of women online who I talk to now. I've made friends in person. It's just, I just can't all believe it's reality sometimes, you know, like it's been a really great experience.
That's awesome. It feels like when I hear you say all that, what I also hear in between the words is it has changed your life in ways that you never expected.
It's changed me in ways that I never expected too, you know, so much. I never imagined I'd be the person people would be going to for advice on what to eat. You know, I struggled with my weight my whole life. I remember being called plump at 8 years old, you know, like it's just, and it's not like I've done it and I've kept it off, you know, it's not like I feel like prior to this, I probably lost and gained the same 20 pounds over and over and over again. But the way that I made the changes this time, they're sustainable, and it's just something that I've been able to maintain and shift my life with. And
that's awesome.
Crazy. Yeah, it's just crazy.
So what is your leaderboard name if people would like to find you there?
So my leaderboard name is Restin Spinface.
That's a good name.
It is.
Yeah. I've always been told I have RBF. So I did a little play on that. Yeah. But it's, you would never know because I think I've been smiling this entire time.
You have. I'm like, where is it? I don't see it.
I think that was, you know, pre-weight loss journey maybe was that girl, you know? So maybe it's time to revisit a new name. I don't know, but I really like it. So
it is. It's fun and memorable. So I can get why you would like it.
Yeah.
And so do you have a preferred instructor that kind of helped you through all this?
Of course we do, right? Well, I know you don't have a Peloton, Tom.
Yeah, I have one, I guess, technically. But
technically, yeah. But Tunde I owe so much of my journey to her. You know, Crystal can, I'm sure, relate because like when you ride on that bike, you feel like they're your friends and like they're talking to you.
Absolutely.
And so much of what she says, like in the moment where she's like, get back up. And I'm like, I had just sat down. Like, is she watching me? You know, like it's just like, it's on. She just has this ability to speak to your soul. Like she is getting through to me when I am on that bike, and she pushes me in ways that I never thought possible. And it's just, she's just been, and I know she had her own weight loss journey, and I feel like she's just such a relatable person for me. And she's so powerful and beautiful and smart, and I really admire her. And if I'm on that bike, it's 99% of the time it's with a Tune Day class, and if it's not Tune Day and I need something like fun and flirty, it's Cody. So
and Tune Day likes ice cream, so you really can't go wrong.
Yes. Her makeup is always flawless. Like she's amazing.
She's amazing. She's gorgeous.
And her arms are my goals. Like I want my arms to look like Tune Day's arms. So I am just working at those Tune Day arms. Like, you know,
I want my arms to look like
you're incredible. Like I am doing 45-minute intervals in arms mostly every night because I am trying to get Tune Day arms. Like,
hashtag
and you
goals.
feel it. Yeah. You feel it after her class. Like she works you like unbelievable.
I remember one time I took one of her classes and she was like, it was 10-minute arms. And she was like, don't tell me you can't do work in 10 minutes. Don't tell me you can't get something done in 10 minutes. And I was like, I was beat the next day.
Yeah. and even when she's like, you know, you can do anything for 15 seconds. That stuck with me because you can. Like it's all in your mind. And she said something else too. It was like reframing your mental headspace. And I'm always constantly reframing my mental headspace. And it's just kind of like people who don't have a Peloton don't realize these kinds of conversations that happen on the bike, right? They think you're just getting on the bike and pedaling. And it's it's so much more than that.
And that's why they think that like any bike will do or any instructors will do. And it's like, no. These are gems that these people are saying to us. They like, I know, because they speak to you, like you said. And it's so crazy because you don't even know what you need to hear until you hear it. And it's like somehow you'll pick a ride and it's exactly what you needed. Exactly.
And you know, when I tell people like I've cried on this bike, they're like, what? I'm like, Robin did her birth announcement on this bike and I celebrated her telling her mom she was having a baby. Like, you know, the things you experience on this bike, it's just, you would never know unless you have Peloton. So it's just like, it's so amazing, you know. And Kendall's mental health ride, it just like challenged me in ways I never even thought imaginable. And the way that they script their classes and the words they're saying and that correlate with the level of resistance they're using, everything is just so well thought. And it's just exactly what you need when you didn't even know you needed it, you know?
Yes.
And I don't know if you guys can see here, I have my like Peloton wall of fame over here.
I can't see the wall. I can see your bike. I can't see the wall.
Do you want me to move the camera?
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yes,
sure.
absolutely.
It's
there it is. Look at that.
So I have my instructor cards.
Yes.
Of all the instructors. I made that P with a saw. I cut that. And
holy cow.
Are you serious?
Yep. Very serious.
That is impressive.
It's dedication, right?
It is dedication.
And
I would be terrified to
I have a quote from Kristen McGee up top, and it says, everything you could have possibly ever want, have, or ever need is right inside of you. Aww. And I see that every time I ride. So
I love it. You have a wonderful Peloton space that you have created. And
thank you. That's my little office.
I love it. That's wonderful. Very inspirational.
So do you have any advice for people who are just now entering the world of Peloton?
The seat gets better.
That's a good one.
I remember, you know, when I bought my Peloton, my two friends who own the bike, I'm like, no one told me I would not be able to sit after riding this bike. It is some kind of pain you never knew imaginable, but somehow they've all said, you will get used to it. You will get used to it. You do. I promise.
If you do it long enough, your seat gets better. And I mean that in both senses of the word.
True.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's true. It is true. Yeah, the seat gets better. And just listen to the instructors. If they're telling you to you don't have to do exactly what they're saying with the numbers. Like if they're telling you do the numbers you need, listen to them. You know, if Tunde's telling you can drop a weight and you need to do it, you know, you're challenging yourself, right? No one's here, no one's watching me. So your accountability is yourself. So you do what you have to do for you. Like I said, there's nobody watching. And if you will build up to those two weights in one arm, you'll get there. But in the beginning, if you can't do it, it's okay. And just clip in, like, even if it's 5 minutes, just get on the bike. I've never regretted clipping in. I've regretted not clipping in. But once you get on that bike, like something inside of you just feel so much better after you get off of it. So you'll never regret clipping in.
I was worried for a second that you're going to say I've never regretted clipping in, but I regret clipping out. And I was going to be like,
that would have been a terrible play of words right there.
Yeah. Like, good thing you said that at the end of the interview.
She's not coming back. That
was a one-time interview.
Well, that's never going to air. We get an email from her in March. Whatever happened?
I didn't mean it.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us. Before we let you go, remind everybody where they can find you in all the places. I'm assuming you would like to be found because you talked about it.
Yeah, of course. Of course. You can find me at Making Friends with Food on Instagram. And I also just started a website. It's makingfriendswithfood.net. You can find me in both of those places.
That's wonderful.
Awesome.
Excited to see what you've got up your sleeve for the future too. So keep us in the loop. Keep us in the loop. You can come back and tell everybody, give a little update.
I'd love to.
Okay.
The Clip Out.
So I guess that brings this episode to a close. Until next week, where can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe. They can find me on Instagram, Twitter, the bike, and of course the tread at Clip Out Crystal.
And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. Find the show online, facebook.com/The Clip Out. While you're there, like the page, join the group, and of course, don't forget our newsletter at theclipout.com. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep pedaling.
And running.
Clip in.